On this episode of Carnage, we're going to finish putting together our budget Barra build. Right, well, we're back from the weekend. I have rods on pistons. We're pretty much ready to go. Just got to put rings on pistons. Hope you had a good weekend, because I had a cracker. We took the ute out, ran 8s on its first full pass down the track, so super happy with that. But yeah, let's slap this Barra together so we can get the turbo taxi down there as well. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? 8s out of the taxi. Let's run 10s first. Anyway, rings on pistons. Pretty easy to identify the top bearings. They're the ones with little squirter holes, but the rods don't have squirter holes in them, so it doesn't really matter. Well, ignore what I said before, because the bottoms have holes in them too, for no reason. It's weird. Alright, time to put some rods and pistons in, the old dip and flip. Well, they're all facing the right way. That's a good start. All right, I guess we need to flip it upside down so we can torque them all up. Right, so we've got all our rods and pistons in, torqued down, so now we've just got to do our girdle plate. All these bolts will have to be undone for the moment, so they're only sort of one ugga-dugga on them at the moment. So undo them, girdle plate on, and then torque the bottom up, and that will be our rotating assembly done. Yeah, then we can move on to fun things like cylinder heads, and camshafts and timing chains. Yay. always inspect your bits before you put your engine back together. I just picked up this oil pickup tube and had a look in the end. I'm like, that's not supposed to be there. It was this chunk of plastic, this valve collet, and this little piece of metal as well. Yeah, check your gear before you put it together. Now I do have a set of RTS gears over there and a plate and everything. However, I'm going to save them for the big motor. I'm going to reuse this pump, which had a backing plate and some billet gears in it, and we'll just use that. That was out of taxi last time, it had an engine in it. So we'll whack this one back in there. Done. Bottom end is done, other than the sump of course, but yeah, we'll flip her over and start looking at some cylinder heads. I would like the pistons to be clean as well, but they're not, and they're not going to be. They're here for a good time, not a long time. Right, so I don't currently have any cylinder heads laying around that don't have big canals torched through them. So I'm pulling the head off this engine that was given to me about 5 or 6 years ago. It doesn't turn over because someone's left it outside with no spark plugs in it. So I have no idea what the condition is, but I wish we had smell-o-vision because this thing smells like arse. It just smells terrible. Alrighty, is that head going to, no, needs to be pried up slightly. Let's see if this head's actually usable. Oh yeah, well that's bad. Alright, what do we look like? Ooh. Maybe. I will need these. Alrighty. Yeah, wow, I am regretting my life choices right now. This thing is not great at all. I'm gonna have to let this soak in overnight. Come back and give it a thorough bath. I've got to change over the valve springs because obviously these valve springs are standard. This is definitely a standard engine. Never been touched, never been serviced. But yeah, valve springs will need replacing because we know valve springs in Barras are made out of cheese. They will not even handle 15 pounds of boost, you know, so valve springs are your first stop in doing a Barra build. So I've got a good set of valve springs in that head over there. We'll put them in. We'll have a look at the valves and the seats, make sure they're okay. But yeah. It's going to need good cleanup. So we need the valve springs out of this head. This was the head that was last on the taxi. Obviously we've burnt a nice big channel into it. And yes, we could probably get that welded up and fixed, but it's going to take welding and remachining and all sorts of stuff. And to do all that, we're going to have to pull all the valves and springs out of it anyway. So let's just transfer all the valve springs across to this other head and use our very large spring compressor thingy here. There are 24 valve springs in a Barra head. Takes a while. And just like that, we have our valve springs. I can't even remember what these valve springs were. We've used so many brands over the years. Yeah, so probably Dominator, I think, but yeah. There's a lot of companies out there making valve springs. We just need a good set for our head. Move on to the next one. It seems like a long process, but with this tool allowing you to do 4 at once you get into the rhythm, it goes pretty quick. So now we have 24 valve springs that we can now put into the other head. I'll do valve stem seals and everything as well at the same time. We may even have a look at the valves and see how they're looking. The joys. Well, there's another problem we found. Not only do we have some burn marks through the head, but we've got a burnt exhaust valve there as well. That's got a nice little channel burnt through it. So yeah, the head was definitely stuffed there as well. Before we throw the head in the metal bin, we'll recover anything that's worth anything. So any of the old sensors, all these titanium studs, we'll keep all those, reuse them. But yeah, this head is definitely for the bin. Because this was an NA head, we've put all the LPG intake valves in them, as you can see with the little L's on the intake valves. And because we're changing the valves over, we've got to lap the valves in. Yeah, I've also, I think I've changed the exhaust. No, these are the exhaust valves because we'd burnt a couple of the exhaust valves. So yeah, we've changed the intakes, but the exhausts have all moved around, so we'll probably give them a light lap as well. You might also notice that the head looks a lot cleaner than before. That's because I drove down to Dandy Engines. Frank let me throw it in their parts washer, and after, you know, 10-15 minutes, it's come out looking pretty good. Really good, in fact. So clean enough for this job anyway. Okay, so felt like I was trying to start a campfire, but 24 valves are all lapped in. Now it's new valve stem seals, put the springs back in, do all that. And then we should have a working cylinder head that I can then drop on our bottom end, do the timing chains and the cams and all that sort of stuff. Wow, this is actually turning into a bigger job than I originally began. I've spent more than a day on this cylinder head alone, so anyway, we'll just keep going at it, get this engine together. Let's do it. Now for some new valve stem seals. So I'm just going to sit them on for the moment, and then I'm going to find a socket that sits kind of over in there and just sits against that ridge to help push them on. Ah, Dunsky. A joy this is not. So when it comes to head gaskets for boosted engines, there's pretty much only one name in the game, and that is Cometic. This one's quite thick. What is this? It is 75 thou. Yeah, okay. Must have ordered this because the pistons that I have for the other engine must be flat tops or something. So I've gone with a thicker gasket. We don't need the thicker gasket with these turbo pistons. So, maybe I should go get a thinner gasket. Bugger, that's going to slow me down. All right, I'm going to go source a thinner gasket and we'll come back to this. Probably tomorrow. We'll see you then. Okay, so we have our very thin head gasket there. Now, I'm going to clean up the oil and stuff and we shall bolt our head on. do a couple steps. 60 foot-pounds for the first one. There we go, 14 head studs, all done up to 100 foot-pounds. I know it looks like I'm kind of struggling a bit, but what I'm trying to do is ease up on it. I don't want to just go smashing on it and go over. We are kind of at the limit of the thread strength of the block with those studs. So anyway, head is on. Let's put the rest together. As always, remember to put the caps back on where you took them from. So do not mix and match. They're not interchangeable. You want to put them on the side they came from. Just a dollop on the joins, just make sure they don't leak. Right, well, there's our Barra all together, obviously minus manifolds and mounts. Now we just need to do that stuff, get it in the car, get it running, and you will see that on a future episode of Carnage, but you won't see it next week because Drag Challenge is coming up very soon. So we need to go into Drag Challenge prep mode, get that ute ready for Drag Challenge. I mean, it's ready to race, but is it ready to do 1700 Ks in a week? I don't know. We need to get it ready. So we'll get this ready in the meantime, get it running in the taxi, and you'll see that after the ute runs at Drag Challenge. But yeah, next week, back into the ute for Drag Challenge. We'll see you then.